You know, a movie has achieved a very specific kind of cult sainthood when it goes from, what the hell was that? To actually, it was a misunderstood masterpiece. And that's The Chronicles of Riddick, a movie that crashed, burned, and then somehow clawed its way back out of the ashes wearing Necromonger armor, Furyan destiny, and Vin Diesel's absolute refusal to let it die. But before we even get there, you need to know where this all started. Pitch Black, the first film, was a tight, sweaty little sci-fi thriller about a prison transport ship crashing on a dead planet with 3 suns, a bunch of terrified survivors, and one extremely dangerous convict named Riddick, a night-blind chronic killer who can see in the dark. And guess what comes out in the dark? Sleek, flying, carnivorous nightmares with sonar faces and the attitude of hungry piranhas. The whole movie was survival. Run when the light fades, hide when the monsters fly, and try not to get murdered by the guy you're relying on for help. It was simple, brutal, atmospheric, a perfect creature feature that made Riddick a cult icon. And then came The Chronicles of Riddick, which said, cute little survival story, now let's set fire to the entire galaxy. When Chronicles hit theaters in 2004, it wasn't just a flop. It was a galactic implosion. People walked in expecting Pitch Black 2, more monsters, more darkness, more running for your life. They expected another tight, scrappy horror thriller about survival and shadows and xeno creatures with very sharp teeth. Instead, they got a space opera, a mythic epic, a cosmic fever dream with underworld death cults, ancient prophecies, soul-ripping villains, Judi Dench made of elemental silver mist, and Thandie Newton floating across the screen like a couture-wearing cobra. The audience expected a flashlight and some scary aliens, and the filmmakers handed them Dune, and Star Wars and Lord of the Rings rolled into one movie. And here's what actually happens in this misunderstood space epic. Riddick is hiding on an icy backwater planet until bounty hunters track him down. He escapes because obviously, and goes searching for answers about why everyone in the universe suddenly wants him alive. Turns out the Necromongers, a death-worshipping empire that conquers planets by absorbing souls like cosmic vacuum cleaners, are rolling across the galaxy. Their leader, the Lord Marshal, literally slips between dimensions, and prophecy says a Furyan, Riddick's almost extinct warrior race, will one day kill him. Meanwhile, Riddick reconnects with Kyra, formerly Jack, the feral girl from Pitch Black, who is now trapped in the sun-scorched prison moon of Crematoria. There's a prison break, a hellish desert run, and a bloody confrontation on the Necromonger capital ship. Kyra dies. Riddick loses his mind. Riddick kills the Lord Marshal. And by the Necromonger creed, you keep what you kill, he becomes their new ruler. End of movie. Roll credits. The audience goes, what? And people unfortunately did not appreciate the epic glow-up. Critics didn't just pan it. They dogpiled it. They acted like director David Twohy had personally insulted their houseplants. The reviews were so brutal you'd think Riddick had shanked cinema itself. For years, the movie was the punchline to every joke about failed franchise launches. It was seen as easy, low-hanging fruit for critics and film lovers who wanted to sound smart by condemning it. The movie wasn't the R-rated action horror that Pitch Black was. It was PG-13. Wasn't as scary, but its story was deeper than Pitch Black. By introducing us to a whole universe, it made us understand Riddick a little better, his history, the tragedy of him being the last Furyan. It may not have been monster-rated like Pitch Black, but it significantly raised the stakes because the story wasn't just about the survival of a small group of people on a nowhere planet. It concerned entire planets and civilizations. But here's the twist. The version most people saw wasn't even the real movie. It was the studio-smoothed PG-13 chopped-up theatrical cut, the diet version, the decaf edition, the spark notes of a space opera. Then the director's cut slithered onto DVD. Darker, bloodier, longer, stranger, and suddenly everything snapped into place. The Furyan flashbacks, restored. Kyra's arc, actually understandable. The mythology, coherent. The pacing, less chaotic. The tone, more Pitch Black spiritual brutality and less corporate smoothing. It turned out Chronicles was never supposed to be a simple sequel. It was meant to be the Empire Strikes Back of the Riddick-verse, and Universal tried to sell it like a camping trip with aliens. And you know what's even wilder? The movie was gorgeous. Every frame looked like someone poured a heavy metal album cover into a blender with a fashion editorial. Those towering Necromonger ships, those brutalist armor designs, Carl Urban looking like a barbarian prince dragged through a vat of chrome, Thandie Newton stalking through scenes like she's auditioning for most glamorous villain in the galaxy, Judi Dench playing a space elemental from a race that is so good at calculating probabilities that mortals think they're prophets. It was world building on steroids, elegant, dense, bizarre, and addicting. You wanted to know everything: where the elementals came from, why the Necromongers worship death, what happened to the Furyans, how Riddick fits into this cosmic chessboard. Heck, it even got us interested in the marriage dynamics between Dame and Lord Vaco, because watching that villains couple, even in the small doses the fave us, was intoxicating. The movie tried to open windows, and instead of looking through them and seeing what the Riddick universe could look like, people slammed the blinds shut because they wanted another monster-in-the-dark survival story. It's like being handed a 4-course gourmet meal and complaining it's not the same cheeseburger you ordered last time. And honestly, looking back now, we should all be a little embarrassed. Because Chronicles wasn't just bigger. It wasn't just bolder. It was good, entertaining, ambitious, stylish. We let critics, the same people who think joy is a cardigan and a glass of lukewarm Merlot, convince us it was trash. Meanwhile, the director's cut was sitting there like, oh, you didn't like me? That's okay. You'll come crawling back. And we did, because time did what time always does with misunderstood art. It peeled away the noise and left the truth. Today, Chronicles of Riddick is a cult classic, a bold, messy, gorgeous space epic that dared to swing for the fences. Too ambitious for 2004. Too weird, too shiny, too operatic for an audience who wanted xenomorphs but make it dessert. And those people who skipped it because of bad reviews? Sheep, blindly following the critics like Necromonger converts whispering, "You keep what you kill." Except they didn't kill anything. They just let someone else tell them what to think. And here's the real tragedy. Chronicles would have been perfect as a Stargate-style TV show. Stargate did exactly what this franchise needed. A great movie followed by a long-running, rich, layered TV universe with time and space to world build. No one cared that James Spader and Kurt Russell didn't return. The recast actors became legends. Imagine Riddick's universe getting that treatment. Slow burn arcs about elementals, multi-season deep dives into Necromonger politics, whole episodes exploring Furyan history, crematoria factions, merc life, interplanetary cultures. They could have kept the R rating, kept the edge, kept the darkness. Vin Diesel might never have agreed. TV was lesser back then. But honestly, the franchise deserved that breathing room. It needed it. It would have thrived. A Riddick TV series could have become the next great sci-fi world. Chronicles isn't perfect, and that's why it's iconic. It's cinema with sharp elbows. It's swaggering sci-fi myth-making. It's a movie that refuses to apologize for being huge, strange, and unapologetically itself. The acting, sometimes stiff. The dialogue, heavy with lore. The tone, operatic and extra in the best way. But the visuals, stunning. The world-building, delicious. The ambition, massive. The costumes, divine. The commitment, absolute. It's the cinematic equivalent of watching someone leap off a cliff, sprout wings midair, and scream, "Surprise!" and somehow, stick the landing. That's why, 20 years later, The Chronicles of Riddick isn't just a cult favorite. It's a cosmic reminder that playing it safe might please critics, but swinging big is what makes legends. It was too much for 2004, too bold, too operatic, too unapologetically weird. But time caught up. Now, it's not a flop. It's a space opera icon, a misunderstood gem, a chrome-plated, destiny-soaked fever dream that looks better with every passing year. Because once you stop expecting Chronicles of Riddick to be pitch black, it becomes magnificent.